Hello, everyone. This is Independent Conservative. Thank you all for joining me. I want to continue my discussion on the Crip walk thing that Serena Williams did on the stage during the halftime show conducted by Kendrick Lamar. Now, there's a lot of controversy about this, and in my opinion, it shouldn't be really, because to me, I think it's either black or white. And I don't mean racial, but I mean either it's good or it's not. There's a lot of controversy around this. Now, I wanted to continue this discussion because I think it's a discussion that's worth talking about. In my last video, I made some comments about this Crip walk thing that Serena Williams did, and that it's promoted as something negative, a negative part of black culture, okay? And that a negative part of black culture that I totally disagree with, okay, because of what it is associated with. And of course, I got some backlash, of course, which is, I mean, everybody have the right to their own opinion. This is my opinion, and I have a right to talk about it. Thank God that we're free to do that in this country as of now, okay? And everybody's not going to agree with my opinion. I'm not going to agree with their opinion. That's okay, because I'm going to give another opinion. It's going to be closely associated with my first opinion, okay? But I want to get a little bit deeper into this because I think it's worth talking about. Now, I got a chance to hear a clip from The View in which Sonny Houston, I don't know what that was. The View is the most, I don't even know why that show is still on TV, but dumb people, oh, Lord have mercy. But anyway, Sonny Houston makes the statement that Serena Williams had done this Crip walk with some years before in the Wimbledon tennis show where she beat some particular woman and she did a Crip walk. She did it before and they showed her actually doing this. And Sonny Houston's words were, here was the greatest tennis player in the world showing black excellence, and everybody's getting upset about it. So you hear the crowd clapping. All that makes me so upset. Okay, so here's what I want to get at right here. What Sonny Houston was saying was that by her Crip walking, she was showing black excellence, okay? I have to completely disagree with that. Black excellence, or excellence in general, is the fact that she is one of the greatest tennis players, female tennis players, if not the greatest female tennis player of all time. That's black excellence, okay? If you want to make it a black thing, since we're celebrating black history, right? That's black excellence because she put forth 120% effort in becoming the best that she could be in her field. But regardless of what the Crip walking was all about, because Sonny Houston, one of them said something along the line of, well, she had a beef with Drake or whatever, and then she was doing this to mock him. I don't know. I don't know about all of that. I don't care about all of that. What I care about is what's being represented here, okay? That's not the issue. The issue is the fact that she did this Crip walk, and it was, and Sonny Houston stated that it was a sign of black excellence. No, what was a sign of black excellence is the fact that Serena Williams is the greatest female tennis player of all times, according to many sources. That's what black excellence is. Crip walking is not a sign of black excellence because of what it is associated with. It is associated with one of the most violent street gangs in Los Angeles. It's not associated with anything positive. For us to celebrate her Crip walking is where I have an issue at, okay? I said this in the last video. That same, you got people from India. I've seen TikTok videos of people from India Crip walking. Bro, I mean, are you serious? That is a negative aspect. Now, let me say something of black culture. Now, let me explain a little something about black culture, man, because I think people have gotten upset with me, and I want to elaborate a little bit on this about what culture means as a whole. So let's get into this whole idea of culture, right? So let's define what culture is. Okay, here's one definition. The arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively. Let's read that again. That's the first definition. The arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement regarded collectively. Now, can we say that Crip walking is the arts and other manifestations of human intellectual achievement? Can we actually honestly say that? Can we say that's a part of celebrating black excellence? Let's go to the next one. Next definition of culture. The customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group. Okay, let me read that again. The customs, arts, social institutions, and achievements of a particular nation, people, or other social group, Let me read another meaning here. The meaning of culture is the custom, which is similar to the one I just read. The meaning of culture is the customary beliefs, social forms, and material traits of a racial, religious, or social group, also its characteristics. Okay? Culture is a group of people's shared beliefs, values, and behaviors. It's a way of life that includes language, food, music, art, and traditions. Culture is passed down through generations and helps shape a person's identity. Now, as I said before, the Crip Walk is being pushed as part of black culture or black excellence. This is what Sonny Houston was basically saying. Sonny Houston was saying that Serena Williams' Crip Walk is a celebration of black excellence. The black excellence in reference to her being the greatest tennis player of all times. I have to intensely disagree with what she said. Is Crip walking a part of black culture? Yes, it is. But you got to understand black culture. Black culture is divided into subcultures. All black people don't Crip walk. All black people do not agree with Crip walking. Some black people don't even know what Crip walking is. Okay? So you have within the black community, okay, we make up 13% of the population in this country. So that's like 40 to 42 million. Within the 40 to 42 million black people in America, okay, how many of them believe and practice the art of Crip walking? I'll wait. Now, somebody might watch this and say, well, you attacking the... I'm not attacking any gang, okay? I'm not attacking any gang, so I don't want to hear nothing about somebody. I'm not attacking any gang, but they know themselves what that's all about. That's something that they did within their gang. I'm pretty sure that they had no idea that their Crip walk was going to be taken and made international. An international thing, because that's basically what it's been done. It's been made an international thing. Let's quit playing games, man. Come on now. Let's quit playing games with this. That walk has been made an international thing. But to connect it to someone like Serena Williams, okay, and then say, Sonny Houston, to say something as foolish and asinine as, this is just her celebrating black excellence, is the most disjointed, disconnected thing I've ever heard. At least one of the most disjointed, disconnected things I've ever heard. What she said is foolish, but that's not a surprise to me, because oftentimes a lot of things that they say on The View is just stupid to begin with anyway. They're a bunch of cackling hens as far as I'm concerned anyway. They have no brains. They paid to talk stupid anyway. Okay? But getting back to black culture. Okay? As all the definitions I read, so this is not something I made up. These are the definitions of black culture. Black culture is divided into many different factions. Now, after the Civil War, after slavery and after the Civil War, many blacks at the time did not have a culture in the sense that they were not familiar with their African roots. Okay, they weren't familiar with that to some extent. That had been stripped from them. So what a lot of blacks were doing at that time after the Civil War and during Reconstruction is that they had such a hunger for education within America, which was controlled by the white establishment. They had such a hunger for education and entrepreneurship that they created their own culture, if you will, which was an adoption of American culture. They created their own culture in the midst of segregation, particularly in the Deep South. And they were called the black bourgeois. And y'all know where I'm going with this, okay? They had their own, they had Black Wall Street. They had their own bus line, their own businesses. I mean, I've seen pictures of these people. They look like royalty. Now, that was not necessarily black culture in the strictest sense, because as I said, blacks at that time had been stripped of their African roots. So they were not familiar with the cultures of Africa at the time. They were familiar with what they were doing during slavery, what the fathers and mothers had passed down to them through slavery. That's what they were familiar with. And all they knew at that point was to get an education and to pursue whatever they wanted to pursue. They were very entrepreneur driven. So they became, one particular source I was reading years ago said that these type of black people became super Americans. They were super Americans because they were so adamant about showing that, hey, we can do it on our own. We don't need the government. We don't need nobody telling us what to do because they have been the one to enslave us and our forefathers from the beginning. So we're going to do this on our own. This is one of the reasons why, if not the main reason, that most blacks during this time, during the 1920s, in the early 1900s and so forth, voted Republican, because their belief at the time was that the Republicans were the ones that set them free. Abraham Lincoln was a Republican. And when he signed the Emancipation Proclamation, they looked at it as, oh, we're free. And this was the Republican Party that did it. So these are the people that we're going to support. Unbeknownst to some people, most blacks voted Republican during this time. But anyway, they adopted that system, okay? They adopted the American system or the American culture, and they adopted it as their own, okay? They became the black bourgeois, okay? However, when the 60s started coming in, okay, you had a lot of what was known as black consciousness, okay? You had a lot of black groups and so forth. You had the Nation of Islam. You had Marcus Garvey. You had a lot of these different pro-black groups that were focusing mostly on black culture and black customs and belief systems that go back to ancient Africa, okay? And they felt and believed that blacks had lost that. So they began to teach on these type of concepts and cultural beliefs and traditions in their groups and in their buildings and in their teaching. And this is what they emphasized. This is what they focused on. Okay. Was that good? I would say yes, it was good. It was really good. It was because these blacks, even though I don't agree with everything that they were saying, a lot of what they were saying I don't agree with, they did emphasize intellectual excellence. There was no sagging pants. There was no being dumbed down and being ignorant. They were not ignorant. These people were not ignorant. They were very smart. Even though they promoted an aspect of black culture that was not a part of the American concepts of culture, it was all about excellence. Okay? All about promoting the positive aspects of black culture, or what they believe to be black culture. So that's why, particularly when you start merging into the 70s, you saw a lot of people, black people with afros and stuff. I remember when one person made a comment and says, man, what's with all the fros? And I was like, well, the reason for that is because the afros wasn't a social message. It was a way of black people saying that we are our own. Okay, we don't want to assimilate into white culture. We want to have our own culture. Our forefathers was from Africa, and that's where we came from. And so therefore we want to celebrate our Africanism. Okay, this is what they believe, and they believe that they call it the natural. And if anybody watching this video was familiar with Soul Train, you know what that was all about. See, people want to talk about me and my black card. Man, I got 10 black cards. Can't tell me about black history. I don't want to hear that. Okay, so, but if you're familiar with Soul Train, it came out in the late 60s, early 70s, and all the way up to the early 2000s. Man, stop it. And they would have commercials When Soul Train's commercial would come on, they would all be black commercials. It was awesome, man. It was awesome. It was awesome. They would sell the Afro Sheen and all that. But that was an aspect of black culture. But I look at that as a positive aspect of black culture. Let me tell you something else that was a positive aspect of black culture. You had the emerging of, and I mentioned this in the other video, you have the emerging of R&B. R&B became very popular in the early to mid 70s all the way into the 80s. And R&B was solely a black creation. It was a mixture of blues, and it was rhythm and blues. They mixed rhythm and blues. You know, they took the blues of the blues songs from people, blues singers like, what's his name? B.B. King and others, and they amped it up just a little bit. They made it about love and romance and so forth. So that was a uniquely black creation. That was true black culture, in my view, okay? But it was a positive aspect of black culture. Once again, let me emphasize this. Though that was a positive aspect of black culture, it was still a subculture, a subunit within the black ethnic group, if you will, in America. Because all blacks didn't do the same thing. All blacks didn't embrace the same ideas, okay? Some blacks took the culture of white, they took white culture and embraced it as their own and made it their own. Them the ones I was talking about earlier, the bourgeois, okay? They took the white culture and embraced it as their own and became super Americans, okay? And you have these from the 60s on up into the 70s that began to merge into what is known as black consciousness. We had the black groups and everything was about pro-black and so forth, the Black Panthers and things of that nature. And you had all those kind of groups. You had filmmakers, Melvin Van Peebles, you know, and his son Marvin Van Peebles, I believe. But Melvin Van Peebles in 1971, he made a film called Sweet Songs. Now, I don't want to say it's a cuss word in it, but he made a film that very, very low budget, but it was all about defeating the oppressive white government. This is what it's about. It was centered on a single male character who was trying to overcome the system. And back then they used to call it the man. You know, you got to defeat the man. The man was a euphemism in black culture at that time for the white establishment, the white government, the white establishment, the white aristocracy. Okay. The man. And that was the expression that they used, okay? You had a lot of movies that came out known as the black exploitation or blaxploitation movement, was started in the early 1970s. Basically, it started with Melvin Van Peebles' movie, okay? And then Hollywood began to see that film made a lot of money, which Melvin Van Peebles financed basically himself, because Hollywood wouldn't finance him. He financed it himself. And they would... They saw that movie made a lot of money, so they started financing movies that particularly focused on the inner city black culture. And that's why you have movies like Sheba Baby and Coffee, Hell Up in Harlem, The Mac. All right, man, come on now. That was a part of black culture, but those kind of movies has been argued that a lot of those were negative aspects of black culture. You could argue that, but black people went to go see them because that's what black people saw. In the inner cities, in the hoods in those days, that's what black people saw. They saw prostitutes, they saw pimps, they saw drug dealers all the time. And those were the people that they could relate to. So those were the movies that they went to go see. And if you see the movies, you find out that it's not what people think they are. But anyway, it was still, to this large extent, the black person overcoming the man. Okay. But at any rate, those are subdivisions within the black community, within the black race in America. Okay, you move over to the 80s and so forth, you get a lot of this hood stuff with gangs, gang violence, okay? Was that a part of black, is that a part of black culture? Yes, it is. It's a part of black culture. But all blacks do not adhere to that system. That is a negative system. If it was not negative, then why so many of those guys that are in those gangs want to leave those gangs? Why so many of them ending up dead? Unfortunately, that breaks my heart. Every time I turn around, I'm hearing some new cat, up and coming rapper, getting clipped What's up with that? And what I found out in one source that I was reading was stating that one of the reasons for that is because a lot of these guys are either former gang members or gang members, and they're trying to get out of the gang system. But you still got that blood in you. So a lot of them cats are like, no, man, we're going to take this guy out. When you stay around that type of spirit, that mentality is going to go with you wherever you go. So I'm hearing that. So if it's so positive, then why are a lot of these young brothers getting sniped out? Why they getting murdered, man? You know, that's not a positive part of black culture. Sonny Houston was wrong. Okay, how you celebrate black excellence? You just celebrate black excellence. You don't have to Crip walk for whatever reason she was doing it. Okay. Whether it was despite Drake, I don't care. But point is that she did this before millions of people, and now that millions of people know what that represents, at least to some extent, then they're like, wait a minute, hold on, something ain't right about this. You take something that's affiliated with a violent street gang and you make it global? Because millions of people, not only in America was watching at that time, millions of people in other countries was watching it. You make that global, and then you use that as a way of saying this is an expression and celebration of black excellence? I totally disagree with that. Black excellence is what I just mentioned earlier, in my opinion. That's black excellence. R&B is black excellence, okay? Some of the rap songs are black excellence. Although I told y'all before, I'm not a fan of that, but some of those rap songs are good, great, black excellence. That's black excellence if you want to make it distinguished from what would be considered white. That's black excellence. But for Sonny Houston to say that, she was wrong. She was totally wrong and ignorant, but she's paid to be that way. She's paid to be stupid. So if you're getting that kind of money, I don't know. Who knows, right? But that's what I wanted to say. I wanted to continue my discussion and to make myself clear where I stand on this. And so this is not a critique of Kendrick Lamar or his accomplishments as a musician or any of that. It wasn't a critique of his accomplishments earlier in the other video I did, and it's not a critique of his accomplishments now. It had nothing to do with it. My focus mainly was on Serena Williams and what she did and what that actually promotes, whether directly or indirectly, and whatever reason she was doing it. That's what that's promoting. That's what we as black people, man, in my view, have to stop celebrating. Why do we, and I'm standing on this. This is what I believe, and it needs to be talked about. Why do we keep celebrating the negative aspects of black culture, and then when someone points it out and critiques it and disagrees with it, we saying they turning their back on black people, or black people, you're always trying to tear one another down. Let me tell you what let me start some of this up. I'm going to tell you from my perspective of what black people, the type of people that black people tear down. The type of people that black people tear down, from my observations and experiences, is black people who are trying to do something with their life. Whether they're trying to go to college, black folks always turn them down. You trying to be like the white man. Whether they're trying to do something with their life, build a business or whatever, black people always turn them down. What was that man's name? The black guy, I can't remember his name. He's a brain surgeon. Ben Carson, that's who it was. I seen him on some type of, it was years ago, he was on some type of a talk show or whatever. I forget that guy's name. And he's on there, and they had showed a clip of Ben Carson talking about, coming out of the ghetto. And the way he said it was kind of awkward and it was corny. He was like, his word, like the ghetto. And the guy at the talk shows, whoever he was mocking him. By the way, this is a black guy mocking him and saying ghetto. Basically, he was mocking the way Ben Carson said it. And so the audience was laughing and boo-hooing. And I looked at that and I was really bothered by it, because I'm saying to myself, okay, yeah, he was corny in the way he said it, ghetto. Okay, I get it. That's corny. It was corny. Like, dude, But I'm like, why would you, as a black man, a black host, have a black person that's highly regarded as one of the greatest brain surgeons in the world? People all over the world would come to this man to get for surgery. He was brilliant, right? You would think black people would be celebrating this man. But what did they do? They mocked him on a show watched by millions of people. Mocked him. But people want to get mad at me when I critique Serena Williams crip walking on stage before millions of people. They want to say, you putting down black people, man. Man, get out of here. I'm putting down negative stuff. I'm criticizing negative stuff. If I'm putting down black people, then let me say this in the end of this video. Then you need to stop putting down black people like Ben Carson. You need to stop putting down black people like Tom Sowell. You need to stop putting down black people like Walter Williams, who passed a few years ago. Black economists. You need to stop putting down the black intellectuals in our society. Them the ones black people really attack. The positive black stuff. You put them down. Don't tell me not to put down black people when I'm attacking ridiculous nonsense like Serena Williams crip walking. And I get attacked for it? No, bro. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't have your cake and eat it too. Okay? If I got to stop doing that, and I'm not, I'm going to continue to critique this negative stuff until it stops. Because it is not black culture. It is a subculture, and all black people in this country don't embrace it. Until we stop doing that, I'm going to keep critiquing it. You ask me to stop attacking black stuff, black people, then you stop attacking people like the people I just mentioned. I'm not saying anyone that's watching this video, but I'm just saying. Just saying, bro. Yeah, that's what I had to say about that. I know this went further, but because there's a lot to discuss here. There's a lot to discuss here, okay? You know, it's a lot to discuss here. But yeah, that's my take on what Sonny Houston said. What Sonny Houston said was foolish. I disagree with it, and she needs to put a rag in her mouth. So what do you guys think? Leave a comment in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe to my channel. God bless you all. See you again.